You've never truly lived until you've experienced the power going out in your entire region because somebody thought it was a brilliant idea to steal a power coil from a transformer. This is Deborah Andene Feldhazen of the Next Gen Prophets podcast, and I'm here to talk to you about your prophetic process. Now listen, this story literally just happened, which is why we missed a podcast episode this week, because somebody down here in Mexico decided they would love to steal a power coil from a transformer in our area, which took the power out throughout our entire neighborhood and a few other regions. We've been without power, and I thought this was a hilarious moment in time, but also a very telling instance of what happens when we're pursuing our destiny. Now, a power coil is not a very big piece of equipment. In fact, a lot of times a power coil is very small, not much bigger than your finger, depending on the device it's coming from. And that's sometimes what the devil does. He comes along, he steals a little piece, he comes and distracts you, and sometimes you trip all over your feet trying to find out where you stand again. Now, before I continue on in this podcast episode, and I've got your attention, I need you to do me a huge favor, okay? I need you to stop and pause this podcast, and I need you to go to www.myprophetictribe.com, and I need you to go and click that register now for the Next Gen Prophets Summit button, and I need you to book your ticket so you can join me in San Diego, California on February 21st and 22nd for this Next Gen Prophets Summit. Because that little power coil the devil stole from you, listen, it may have tripped you up a little bit, but we've got tons of replacements at hands for you. Unleash Your Roar, this Next Gen Summit is going to open up realms of resources, realms of revelation, and it's going to provide you all of the blueprints and strategies you need to walk out your prophetic process. So yeah, go to myprophetictribe.com, register your seat, and if you're really not sure, book a free prophetic consultation. I want to sit down, I want to talk to you, I want to get to know your name, and I want to help you walk out your process. Now, back on topic. Listen, guys, I have never had this experience in Mexico before where all of the power goes out because somebody wanted a power coil for a pet project they were working on and takes out the power all over this region. But that's what happens in our lives. I want you to take a moment to consider the last time you kind of lost focus or experienced a little bit of confusion when you were walking out your process. Maybe it started with a small conversation. Maybe it started with a small conflict. Maybe it was one bill that you couldn't manage to keep on top of or that you forgot to pay that then built on top of the other until it became a whole snowball effect that has now derailed you completely from destiny. But let me assure you of something. As you are listening to this, I need you to hear the wise words of your big sister right now, okay? Write this down if you have to. You cannot deny destiny. You can only delay it. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how far gone you are listening to this podcast episode because God wants me to remind you that you are not denied your destiny. You've just delayed it, and it's time to get back on track. You know the simple solution to fixing that entire power outage? Just replacing the coil. Coils are not necessarily super expensive either. You can find them in a hardware store. You can order them off Amazon.com. It's really that easy. And that power outage that you're experiencing in your life where everything feels dark, where everything feels like it's so overwhelming, God, you've called me to change my territory. You've called me to change my family. You've called me to change my church. You've called me to change my community. And I can't even manage to get out of bed in the morning because the warfare is so intense. Take a breath. Breathe in. This is your big sister reminding you all things are possible for those who believe because nothing is impossible for Christ Jesus with whom you serve, whose blood washes over you and lifts you up out of bed in that morning. You are waking up in that morning. You are listening to this podcast because God's blood flows through your veins and is lifting you up and saying you can do this. His strength is what is going to get you through this prophetic process. We are called as Next Gen Prophets to be the light in the dark. So if your world seems a little dark right now, rejoice. Rejoice, child of God. Rejoice, Next Gen Prophet. You're called to be the light. You're surrounded by darkness because you are the solution. You have the answers for that darkness. But it just takes you a moment to take your eyes off of yourself, off of where you've delayed your destiny, and begin walking in the correct direction. Look, have you made some mistakes? Did you say things you shouldn't have? Did you go in the direction you shouldn't have? Yes. But the great thing is, God can make up for last time. It's going to be a little bit more intense than He intended, but He will make up for lost time. It's very easy and it's very possible. So I want you to take a breath. I want you to take a moment to think about all of those mistakes you made. This is the last time, do you hear me? This is the last time I'm going to allow you, and God is going to allow you to meditate on all those mistakes that you made up until today, up until hearing this podcast episode. Every mistake that delayed your destiny up until this point is null and void. It no longer matters, because today you are making a step in the right direction. Today you are making a step towards destiny. You are saying, God, here I am. I am ready to be the light. Where to next? Yes, you've got some debts you need to pay off. Yes, you've got some unforgiveness you need to deal with. Yes, you've got some judgments that you need to ask forgiveness for. But let's take it one step at a time. Let's walk towards the future, and let's actually step into our prophetic destiny. A couple of the ways you can do that is one, getting over to our Next Gen Prophet Summit happening, or connecting with your tribe if you're already a member of our tribe. If not, come on, book a free consultation. Sometimes we need a little help to give us perspective of where we are. When we consider getting delayed in our destiny, I want you to imagine you hopped on a ship and somewhere along the lines, you ended up in the middle of an ocean you don't recognize. You don't recognize the star constellations. You don't know what's going on. But by connecting with your tribe, whether that's coming to our summit, booking a free consultation, or even just talking to your pastor or your brother or your sister that you're connected with, you do this. You wave at a passing ship and say, "Where am I?" And they say, "You're in the middle of the South Mediterranean Sea." You can say, "Okay, good. Which way is land?" They can point you in the direction. You're still on a journey. You're still going in the direction God needs you to, but at least now you know how far away from the shores you are. That is the very first step, asking for help, getting perspective of where you are in your process. If you don't know where you are in your process, you won't be able to judge how much further you are to your destination and how much harder you need to run in order to reach that destination. The second thing that you need is you are going to need some additional resources. Here's the thing. If you get lost in the middle of a wilderness or in the middle of that ocean, you're going to run out of supplies pretty quick because days are going by. You don't know where you are. You're just eating to survive. But again, you don't know how far you are from land. And sometimes food spoils really quickly. So you're going to need additional resources sometimes to reach that destination. You're going to need to say, where am I going? How far am I from shore? And do you happen to have any food that I can eat until I get there so I don't starve? Guess what? Get some resources. These resources are going to look like maybe literal training materials. Maybe you need a book. Maybe you need a course. Maybe you need a mentor or somebody that's going to push you in the right direction to give you all of the strategies, to give you the maps, the star charts, whatever it is that you need to navigate your way back to shore. And finally, what you really need, above all else, is to get back to intimacy with Jesus. Listen, when that darkness came upon the world, there was one man who stood on a cross. And in that moment, the Roman soldiers looked up at Jesus on that cross and said, "Surely he was the Son of God." That's what they said in that moment when he let out his breath and the darkness came over the earth. Surely he was the Son of God. In that moment, the prophecy was fulfilled. In that moment, Jesus went down to hell. He took back the keys over life and death. He went and fought on our behalf. And the only man who can truly get you out of the pit that you're stuck in is Jesus. Michael and I are determined to see this Next Gen Prophet Summit succeed, not because we want to, just have a great summit with a bunch of people, but because we want to see this next move of the prophetic take place. And the next move of the prophetic is not some deliverance supernatural experience. This next move of the prophetic is an introduction of the bridegroom. It's a wedding ceremony. Next Gen Prophet, are you coming to the wedding with me? Are you joining Michael and I at that wedding ceremony as the best man, as the bridesmaid, the matron of honor? Are you joining us linking arms at this wedding ceremony Or you're going to be one of those guests that stood on the outside and allowed the master to go to the highways and the byways to find them. I, for one, want to be one of the bridesmaids standing beside the bride and groom on that wedding day. I want to be able to stand there and say, you see that? That's my best friend. And that other one right there, that's my best friend. I want to be able to stand there and celebrate this union of the bride meeting her bridegroom and vice versa. So join me. If you want this intimate relationship, it's going to take time. It's going to take humbling. It's going to take a community, and it's going to take resources. But you're not alone in this journey. Michael and I, we're here. The rest of our tribe is here. We've got an incredible tribe of big brothers and sisters that are here to pray you through, to lift you up when you can't walk, and to push you forward when you're not sure which direction to go in. We're here to accelerate your process. We're here to accelerate you into your prophetic mandate. So, myprophetictribe.com. If you've not already signed up, go ahead, sign up for our prophetic tribe. If you can't make it to our summit, I want to ask a huge favor of you. Michael and I are in the process of seeing an apostolic prophetic work being birthed here in San Diego. Support us. There's some giving information in the show notes below. Support us. Help us see this baby birthed. We are pioneering something new here in the prophetic, something that not many people are willing to do, but I want to partner with you. Partner with us. Let us link arms together to see this baby born and to see many other next-gen prophets find their way in their prophetic process. Help us take these prophets from delay to destiny and set them on a path for success. So, this is your next-gen big sister signing out. I will see you in tomorrow's podcast.